All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in again. Tulsi Gabbard for president. This is my page. Save America. Vote for Tulsi Gabbard. That's the mood I was in when I decided to go all in with Tulsi. Originally, this was just going to be about... I had another name for the page. It was called the Neocon Job. If you go way back and watch some of the early videos at the beginning, way back like a month ago, you'll find that that's what my focus was going to be. Then I realized I need to go all hands on deck for Tulsi Gabbard. So here I am. I want to talk about the third rail of American politics and how that third rail is no longer Social Security. Because even Donald Trump agrees that you should strengthen Social Security, and you can't just reduce retirement ages in order to do it. You got to actually fund the program, maybe take a couple trillion away from the war effort and fund the program for people who are older. By the way, the whole Medicare thing, it might actually work, the Medicare for all, because if you opt younger people into it, much like a giant pool, you know, like in a normal healthcare plan, you bring in younger people who don't get sick as much, and they're helping to float the older people, you know, who do get sick. And somebody will come along and hopefully replace them when they get older, and the process will hopefully work out, and people will maybe live healthier lifestyles and all of that stuff. So you don't know the effects of what we might do with the healthcare industry. It might actually be a positive. So I'm open-minded to hear it through. I haven't quite heard it explained correctly. I do hear people on the right just freaking out, the usual sources, and I do still tune in to some of these shows. I'm not a big Fox watcher, but what I'll do is I'll go on YouTube, and there'll be a list of recommended videos, and like for entertainment value, I watched a little bit of Sean Hannity and Donna Brazile, which was just kind of surreal. But I just watched a little bit of that, and I'll watch a little bit of whoever. I mean, I've got my favorites who I can listen to them. Intellectually speaking, I can listen to Tucker Carlson. I can listen. I don't like Ben Shapiro because he's a big time neocon, and he's really full of himself on top of it. But I'll listen to him at times because he talks really fast, and I can get a ton of information in a short period of time, and I can decide to turn it off quicker. After 2 minutes of Ben Shapiro, you'll know, because he's already put in like about 30 or 40 pages of, your average book as far as depending on what the font size is. So anyway, and then of course I've been paying a lot of attention to Jimmy Dore these days, Kim Iverson, who is really a pleasure to watch and to listen to, because I think she brings a very measured approach to her progressive views, and someone like me is willing to listen to that. If you're screaming at me that you're right and I'm an idiot, I'm going to turn it off, and then I'm going to say this is why I don't belong to this group of people, and I don't belong to any group of people. I'm not a conservative, like a rock solid conservative, and I'm not a progressive. I'm an independent who has seen the light on a few issues. And I've seen that the third rail of American politics today is war. You can't talk about war. You can't talk about ending war. You can talk about war as long as you want to expand it, and as long as you want to put a bullet in someone's head. That video is still freaking me out, the one that was on Fox Business with the dude who writes the books, and he's basically saying he better get out of there, Maduro better get out of there, or he's going to end up like Osama bin Laden, and I'm just, no, we're not doing this, because nobody in Venezuela committed acts of terrorism against the United States, and yet we're just going to rubber stamp that same type of treatment to somebody who obviously may not be, the nicest dude or the best president for his country, but it's none of my business, quite honestly. I come at this from a libertarian perspective, a constitutional perspective, by the way, or at least the sense that our founders knew that foreign entanglements were just a horrible idea for our country in the long run. And it's turned out that about the last 50 years, we've been running our country into the ground because of these foreign wars that just don't seem like they want to end. I don't really care if Raytheon gets another contract. I really don't. I mean, I think all of these companies need to retool for some other industry so we don't have to keep propping up the military-industrial complex, because in the long run, it's not a business model. Like I keep saying, it's a, you would say, well, Dave, it's gone on for 50 years. Don't you think it's a business? No, it's not a moral business model. It's not an ethical business model to go around the world and kill people and break things and then go back and fix it and then say, look what we did. We installed a new democracy and we made their country all shiny and new again after we destroyed it. I mean, if you told the founders this is what we would be doing a couple hundred years later, whatever, they would say, this is crazy. And we have this is not the way our country, we were escaping tyranny and now we're creating tyranny across the globe. I don't think they would be in for that. Just a hunch, okay? I'm not Ben Shapiro, but I'm telling you that's what I think. So, Tulsi Gabbard has challenged the new orthodoxy of the third rail, which is war, which we've seen on both the left and the right. We've seen it across this political spectrum, the usual suspects, neocons, neolibs. And the Republican Party has Rand Paul and Ron, his dad, but Rand Paul is the only guy who will get up on the Senate floor and talk about war and say, I move to say that war is evil and we need to stop it. It's an incredible, courageous thing to do today. And Tulsi Gabbard is the equivalent over on the progressive side of things, who I believe has combined what I would call old school liberalism, classical liberalism, with some modern day progressivism, which the combination really takes in a lot of people. People like myself who would have never even thought about Tulsi Gabbard. She would have just been another progressive advocating for all this stuff that I'm not sure we can do, and a laundry list, and just yelling and screaming about how bad Donald Trump is. Orange man bad, orange man. I get it. You don't like Trump, but that's not a solution to the problem. And I think a lot of people on the left have fed into this anger meme where they're just angry and that's going to fix problems. And there are people who voted for Donald Trump, like myself, who jumped off the train because the same thing is happening again. The economy is showing signs of some weak spots, especially when it comes to like subprime loans, like car loans right now, really underwater in a lot of cases in a way that's not healthy, and it shows that banks are doing predatory lending yet again, just in a different way, and all of those banks that were offering the mortgages last time around for people who really didn't have a way to pay for it, they're starting to do it again. And guess what's going to happen again? You're going to have another real estate market collapse. So all of this ties into America's desire to have a warfare state where industries that are involved with the warfare state do really well. And then everybody else around them does okay, but then as you go further out and ripple out into America, where it's completely disconnected from anything related to the military-industrial complex. You have people walking around in a fog because they wonder that, they went to college for 4 years and they got out and they have nothing to show for it. You've got the student loan debt issue too, which is another big issue, which you could forgive all of the student loans out there. I think it's like $1 trillion. So from what I understand is how much money is out there that needs to be forgiven or wiped clean. And I mean, these people should be able to declare bankruptcy at the very least. But I say take some of the money that we're saving, because remember, the Pentagon, from what I remember, lost like a few $1 trillion they can't account for. Literally. I'm not making this up. So this is how ridiculous the warfare state is. And even more ridiculous is the media's obfuscation of this issue. And just Tulsi Gabbard gets up there, says some very important stuff, people clap, and then you've got commentators talking over her, asking follow-ups. Like, she's so controversial because she's against war. And I don't know how we got here, but we need to get the hell out of here, all right, and get back to what the founders envisioned. And that's why Tulsi Gabbard, in a lot of her speeches, is not afraid at all to link what she's doing to what the founders had as a vision for what this country was supposed to be like. Because she doesn't have to lie about it. She can say, this is what they believed, this is what I believe. As far as all the social issues and stuff go, well, that's window dressing, okay, compared to what we're up against when it comes to endless war. All right, I'm done with this one. Kind of a long-winded video. The third rail of American politics today is war, anti-war. That's the third rail. Talk to you soon.